Hey everyone, Mike Holmes here. Let's talk free lumber. It's the backbone of any good build, but man, has it gotten expensive. It used to be that grabbing a few 2x4s wouldn't break the bank, but these days it feels like you need a small loan just to build a birdhouse. So, what's the deal with these sky-high prices? Well, it's a few things. Supply chain issues have been a real pain, making it harder to get lumber where it needs to go. Plus, everyone and their brother decided to renovate during those lockdowns, which drove up demand like crazy. But hey, don't despair. Just because lumber prices are through the roof doesn't mean you have to abandon your DIY dreams. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You can get great lumber for free. Yep, you heard that right. Stick with me and I'll show you how. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of scoring free lumber, let's take a trip down memory lane. Back in the 1920s, a 2x4 would cost you just a few pennies, can you imagine? Lumber was plentiful and demand was lower, so prices stayed low. Then came the Great Depression in the 1930s. Construction slowed down and lumber prices dipped even further. But after World War II, things started picking up again. The 1940s and 50s saw a housing boom, and lumber prices climbed to around 10-15 cents a board. Fast forward to the 1970s and inflation hit us hard. Lumber prices rose to 30-40 cents and they just kept climbing from there. By the 1980s, a 2x4 could cost you a whole dollar. The 1990s and 2000s saw continued increases with prices reaching $2 to $3 per board. And then came 2020, and bam! Lumber prices went through the roof, hitting over $8 for a single 2x4. It was wild. This little history lesson shows you just how much lumber prices can fluctuate. But the good news is, there's a way to beat the system and get quality lumber without spending a dime. Ready for that secret I promised? Here it is. New construction sites are your free lumber gold mines. Now, I'm not talking about scavenging for scraps like some kind of raccoon. I'm talking about getting your hands on perfectly good lumber that builders are literally throwing away. You see, when builders order lumber, they always order a bit extra to account for waste. They figure in a few bad boards, some miscuts, maybe a little damage here and there. The last thing they want is to run out of lumber in the middle of a job, so they overestimate. Now you'd think they'd be careful with all that extra lumber, right? Wrong. Most builders just chuck it in the dumpster. I know it's crazy, but there's a reason for it. Insider secrets. How to score the best free lumber. Builders hire contractors and subcontractors, and these guys are paid to get the job done fast. Not to save every scrap of wood. They don't care about wasting lumber because it's not coming out of their pocket. So they toss it, and perfectly good lumber ends up in the landfill. But that's where you come in. Head over to a new development where they're framing houses. Look for a house that's almost framed, and in the late afternoon, as the workers are packing up, go ahead and ask if you can take some of the scrap lumber. 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you to go right ahead. They don't care, it's not their wood, and they were just going to throw it away anyway. Just be sure to ask politely and get their permission. We don't want any trouble, right? Weekends are a great time to check out construction sites, too. Just be extra careful not to take anything that looks like they're still planning to use. If it's clearly scrap, you're good to go. So there you have it. My insider tips for scoring free lumber. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mike, this sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? Well, you might have to pull out a few nails, but hey, that's a small price to pay for free lumber, right? Second, you might not always find super long boards. After all, this is scrap lumber we're talking about. But trust me, if you're willing to put in a little effort, you can find almost everything you need for your projects without spending a dime on lumber, and that's a beautiful thing. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever scored free lumber from a construction site? What's the best thing you ever built with it? Share your stories and tips in the comments below. If you want to check out some quality products, check out the description below for our personal links on anything you might need with woodworking. Until next time, keep on building.